Hey y'all, welcome back to Nosedive. Today we have a really good topic. This is a submission by one of my clients, actually. And before we get into everything, just want to say thank you to everyone that tunes in to this podcast. It's something that Mar and I really enjoy doing. And hopefully it brings some guidance and navigation through some tough and some fun and creative things. So thank you guys for listening and watching. Two, we are not licensed medical professionals in the mental space or the medical space. So all of the experiences that we talk about and the information that we provide is all really life-based, experience-based. So just wanted to get that disclaimer in there.
Yeah, don't come at
Yeah,
us.
don't come at us, please. Just let it lie. So, yeah, this submission is also something that I have been working on, I would say, since I started removing alcohol and has really started coming up for me a lot and something that I've wanted to strengthen. And that is intuition. So, what does that really mean? And to go back, the submission is how do we strengthen intuition? So, not only what is it, but how do we hone in on it as a practice? How do we listen to it? How do we use it in our lifestyle to guide us to what our purposes and what it is that we do on a day-to-day basis to kind of bring our best foot forward? And then in addition to that, how do we differentiate between intuition and anxiety? Because if you're like me, I talk to myself a lot. When it comes to decision making, when it comes to just day to day, like, okay, what am I doing today? Da, da, da. Like, I am like ping ponging all day, every day. So, yeah, that's what we're going to get into today. And hopefully, you can take away some things that you can start implementing like today. So,
Today.
yeah. So how should we tackle this? So maybe like defining intuition. Like, how do we define intuition? What even is it?
Yeah. I I love this topic and it's so nuanced and I think it's different for, it looks and can feel different for a lot of different people. So, just kind of take what resonates and allow the other information to kind of flow. I've heard a couple of things that have been really helpful to me. One of them is that intuition is quiet and anxiety or fear is loud. Intuition is more of this subtle knowing and can show up as a statement, just like a truth within you, a statement, and then anxiety or fear shows up as questions. And that has really, really like helped me in moments, because it's really tuning into your body and knowing like, is my nervous system starting to amp the fuck up right now? Or am I actually calm and I'm breathing? And I think it's like we know what is true for us. We just might be afraid to accept what is true for us in that moment. So I feel like there's
Yeah.
so many things that start layering on top of this, not just like intuition, but fear and then trust. And what of those terms that are so ambiguous like mean for us? But I think a great place to start is noticing what happens in your body.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, when I was like, what the fuck? Like, when things are intangible and when there isn't a protocol necessarily with specific steps to understand, and maybe there is a little bit, and that's what we're getting into. But I think in the beginning stages, when I started, how this relates to, at least for alcohol for me, when I started really removing it and reducing it to really understand what that quote unquote inner knowing is. Cause I'm like, what the fuck does that like? What do you
Mhm.
mean inner knowing? Like, I would just do things because, yes, it felt right to me. So that is kind of that maybe jump off point. Like, how does it feel in your body when you start making decisions, and you touched on it. Is it easeful? Is it calm? Is it more of a statement of that feels right? In whatever part of your body, because I think that could feel different for everyone, or is it frantic? Are you like, oh shit, like, oh, but then this person, and then like that fight or flight sort of place in making that decision. So I think that is maybe one protocol that you can kind of implement is whatever the situation is the decision or the action that I'm about to take coming from a place of, yeah, that feels good? Or is it, fuck?
Yeah.
you know? And I think too, there's like this very interesting part of this is they call it a gut feeling. And it isn't just words, there's actually some science behind that with the gut being your second brain. So when you get that gut feeling, it's for a reason. There is this biological thing that takes place when you're making these decisions that are more aligned or you're making it out of fear. So when we start to remove or reduce the alcohol, again, as this just pertains to this kind of like pocket, we are allowed and give ourselves permission to really start understanding how our body reacts to certain situations when we are clear, which is something that's totally different. Because if you are drinking really heavily, you don't have that sense of confidence or maybe clarity around the decisions that you're making. They are inhibited.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like this is very timely. I was chatting with one of my mentors, shout out Rue, like just this morning, listening to a voice note, and he said something that really resonated, which is energy likes efficiency. And if we think of our bodies, I mean, as everything, as energy, there's constant energy flowing through us, or at least that is, like the goal is to allow energy to flow through us as easeful as possible. And when we have blockages that inhibit us, for example, spirits, like booze as spirits, or even, I mean, it doesn't just have to be alcohol, but of
Yeah.
course, this podcast, we talk on that topic a lot, because that is a big one that a lot of people seem to, they're like, oh my gosh, how do I navigate without this? And so if you think about it, our intuition is always with us. It's not so much what do we have to do, it's what do we not have to do, you
Yeah, I'm so
know?
happy you touched upon that actually, because it's like this goes back to just all of the books that I've been reading lately. Anything that has to do with the mind body connection and really getting introspective is this is something that everybody has. Everybody has it. I don't care if you're like, "Oh, I don't really like hear those things or I don't really feel those things." Everyone has this innate ability. It's just the fact that we are potentially doing things to numb those things and numb that intuition down. It is a practice. It is something that you have to intentionally tap into to understand what your intuition looks like to make those decisions. So it's not something that's just like, I don't really have that. It's just you have to practice to understand what yours individually looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just knowing that, just like with everything, when you start to practice something new, maybe it feels a little awkward, or you're like, I'm not used to this. To know that that's okay, that doesn't mean you should stop practicing, as long as you're safe and like other people are safe, like, cool. Just allow yourself to explore in that realm. What's the worst thing that can happen, And I think most times than not, we're just afraid of being uncomfortable. And it's like, it's all right. You just got to practice that muscle and you'll be okay. I think it would be fun to kind of share a couple of our own personal experiences of when we've used, our intuition, when we're on that cusp of like consciousness of like, okay, I know my gut and my intuition and what my heart wants, what my soul wants to do right now, but I can also still hear and see and feel the anxiety. So I feel like it would be helpful to share some of those personal stories so like listeners can kind of be like, oh yeah, I know what they're talking about now.
Yeah. No, totally. Totally.
Yeah. Do you want to share?
Yes, I'll go first. Yeah, we
Okay.
were talking about this a little bit before we hopped on here. And one example that still really just sticks out to me was, I was on this work trip. It was my first time as a team lead for this particular supplier. And so I was meeting new people, I was meeting the suppliers in a new kind of realm, a new territory. I've never been there, never met these people. I was also training for, a powerlifting competition. I was still, I wouldn't say super new, but fairly, like I haven't exercised at that point my confidence around socializing, not drinking. I'd done it a couple times. I felt I was like teeter tottering on that. Hadn't had a lot of real life experiences with it.
Mhm.
Like I knew what to do, had the foundation, had the tools, but hadn't actually exercised those things. So, we had a full day of meetings, which is exhausting, and it's just exhausting meeting new people in general. And so they take us out to dinner. Felt really good. I was like, no, I don't drink. Didn't really have to explain myself that much. They kind of just like moved past it because I had that powerlifting edge to be like, oh, like I'm training for something, blah, blah, blah. And then they started asking me questions about that. Okay, cool. We went to this place, and mind you, this place is terrible. Like, I just have to throw in there. This restaurant that they took us to, I was like, ugh, what the fuck? Like, ew. But anyways, uh, so yeah, that wraps up. Everybody's drinking. Everybody's ordering shots too. I was like, where are we right now? This is the first time that you guys are meeting each other and you're ordering shots of tequila. I shouldn't judge, but I was like, whoa, okay, this is
I
like,
shouldn't judge, but I'm judging.
but I'm judging. I know it was bad. I was like, and it's not, I guess not so much judgment, but I guess maybe like shock
Yeah.
that because I'm so like aware at this point of what's happening and the fact that this happens a lot and more often than I probably realized. I was just like, whoa, I was just
Mhm.
super aware and hyper aware. So they're ordering shots at dinner, everybody's drinking. Time to wrap up. They get the bill. We walk outside, and my like specific team, not only on my side, but on, the supplier side, they're all going to a bar. And I had already made the decision, no, like I'm going back to my hotel room. I have to get up early tomorrow morning, hit the gym before like another full day of meetings. And they're like, "Oh no, come on, come on. Stand firm." Nope, thank you so much, so happy like meeting and da 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 like this is where and I think it hit me, I think, harder once I got back to my hotel room, but in that moment, it felt like this was my intuition kicking in, and this is how I knew because I stood so firm in the knowing that that's not something or not the area that I wanted to be in. I
Mhm.
set out a goal for myself and I wanted to stick to it. And I kid you not, are yelling at me and not in a negative way, not like aggressively. Well, I guess it
Mm.
was a little aggressive, but not like, hey, motherfucker. It was like, oh my God, come with us. Where are you going? Where are you going? Wow, this is just like an aha moment too. The intuition of literally taking my body, turning my back to them, and walking back to my hotel room. So maybe my intuition did kind of take over there. Like it
Mhm.
wasn't anything where I was like, no, no, like I didn't explain myself. I didn't
I mean, you already did.
and right, I already had. I was like, no, said my piece, but they were screaming at me from across the walkway to come and join them at the bar. And yeah, I guess maybe my intuition really did take over in that moment where I turned my body because that's not how I normally would be
Mhm.
to turn my back physically and walk up to my room. And when I got up to my room, it was that is when the anxiety kicked in where I was like, "Oh my god, what did I just," and you're right, the questions. "What did I just do?
Mhm.
How are they going to think of me now? They're going to think that I'm not a team player or that I don't hang or that I'm lame." And I called you
Mhm.
and was explaining the entire situation, and it was the reassurance that I needed of my own intuition, but it was like I was like a baby deer, like coming into the world for the first time with my legs like,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
still was able to walk. So it was like you reassured the fact that my intuition steered me in the right direction, where it was like, no, this is something that you didn't want to do. You stayed true to yourself. You listened to yourself and did not let any of the outside noise or the fear or anxiety to dictate your decisions that would have been from a place of fear and people pleasing and not something that you ultimately wanted to do. And I was like, and I called my husband also after that, and because I was like crying, I was
Mhm.
bawling and for all of about 10 minutes. And my husband was just like, they're not going to necessarily respect you as much as maybe they will the day after.
Mhm.
Because yeah, maybe you miss out on some like inside jokes or whatever it is, but you're in a leadership position. Why would you want to be in a position that makes you maybe in a position where they wouldn't necessarily respect you as much? Like you set that boundary
Mhm.
as a team lead that maybe they'll respect you a little bit more. So it's like after those explanations, it's like, oh yeah. And then I kind of stopped crying. And then the next morning, there were so many people hungover.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure, there were stories. Yeah, of course. Like there's stories that happened and all that stuff, but I was happy that I didn't feel like shit. So
Absolutely.
just that further reassurance.
Yeah, and it's huge because I could think of, and I'm sure you could too, a million examples of when we haven't made the decision and acted upon our intuition, but rather went the other way.
Yes.
And so when that is more so the norm, and we're just, putting our needs or whatever aside, when we do the opposite, it can feel a bit jarring and a bit scary. And so I think that's how sometimes there can be confusion of like, is this intuition or is this anxiety?
Yeah.
And it's like you can always just come back to what are your personal values and what action would actually match that value. When you're in those
Yeah.
times of trying to decipher what it is, you're actually trying to and want to do. And I think I was talking to a friend about this the other day. The more you ruminate on what decision you want to make, the more foggy and unclear it becomes what your gut is. That gut is like, boom, it's there. It's a statement. It's there. That's what it is. But then once
Yeah.
you start, but oh my gosh, da, 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 da,
Talking yourself into it.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, hold on, pump the brakes. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
okay.
in the place of like authenticity, it's like going back to who I am as a person. That's what I want to be like. That's who I am. That's, I want to get up the next morning and work out and do those things. So making that decision for me was a place that was fully me,
Yeah.
not going to the bar because somebody was like, "Hey, let's go." And
Heckling.
because heckling me. Yeah, that's the word. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that word? It's not like sound
Hey,
creepy, but what the
come
fuck? Yeah.
on.
Hey. Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly.
Mm,
Yeah, and I think that's the other part too of like deciphering and how to hone in on what exactly your intuition sounds like is this coming, and this is a question I guess, but is this coming from a place of my own, not outside factors? Like, am I doing this because it's going to please someone else that's asking me? Or is it really coming from a place of from your values, like from you?
yeah,
But
totally.
that's part of the journey too.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you? You're
Yeah.
like a guidepost for me because it's like I feel
Mm.
like you have really personified the type of person that I would like to be in terms of like understanding what your intuition is.
Thanks, I'm trying, you know,
Yeah.
just out here trying to understand too. And I think that's all it really requires, right? Is a want and a curiosity to understand.
Yeah.
Like, and if you can be soft in that space, like we're just experimenting. Like
And open to it.
that's what this whole life is, right? Like, I
Yeah.
can't, everything I'm saying right now that we've been saying, that we continue to say, I'm like, that's what I know up to this point. But maybe tomorrow I wake up and I have a totally different situation, a thought, or whatever. And so that's why, like, when we talk about all these different things, it's like we're all saying the same things, but we use different words. And it's some words resonate with some people and some words resonate with others. And, we talk about this a lot when it comes to like science stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think science is super cool. Like it doesn't really register in my brain though. Like when people start talking super scientifically, I'm like, don't really
Ugh.
care. Like
Yeah.
if it's like quote unquote science or not. I more so resonate with people's lived experiences. Like I trust that just as much or maybe even more as I would like science, quote unquote scientific data, because
Yeah.
that is scientific data, people's lived experiences that are quantified and like all this stuff. But however, someone else resonates more with the science, like the quote unquote science stuff. So it's like just take what resonates for you and like also be open. Because I am open to the science stuff, but it's really hard for me to understand it, but I'm interested, like
Yeah.
to learn and hear. So
Yeah.
anyway, a personal story. So without getting into too many details, so I was in communication with someone that I care a lot about and have spent a lot of time with. Something happened where there was a deciding factor of kind of seeing the situation and understanding my wants and where their wants were, and knowing that it's okay if they are different, but I have to choose. I have to choose what's right for me. I can no longer just be like, okay, it's okay. Like put myself on the back burner and drag myself along, like that doesn't feel good, So I had to make a decision to just kind of remove myself in a very quiet way, and literally very quiet way.
Mm.
And, in the moment of there was this pure knowing of just like, this is okay to do this. This is the right thing to do because it is the most easeful thing to do.
Hmm.
It feels scary, maybe even sad, but there are times, I could reflect in the past where I did the opposite, which was going to grab, to reach, to grip. That feels really resistant. That feels like I'm fighting for something that there's nothing to fight for.
Yeah.
So instead of gripping, it was more of a release. And you know, days following that situation, the anxiety and the fear starts to question my inner knowing, of like, but what if they think you're mad at them? Should you reach out? What if, you could say the right thing and then they'll understand? What if? And I'm like, okay, well, in those moments when I can feel my body starting to kind of like start to wind tight, I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that is a good what if question. I start to speak to it directly because it's a part of me. And I think it's important too for us to talk about, when intuition kind of feels more like this adult inner knowing where fear and anxiety can feel more like parts of a younger child within me that's scared and doesn't trust and feels like I'm being abandoned or whatever it might be. And so just being able to identify the parts of me that are being activated at that moment and talking to that specific part, saying, hey, come in a little bit closer.
Yes. Yes.
I
Inviting it in. Yeah.
love you. You're safe. It is true.
Right.
What if? What if? But also, what if you just trust that if this connection is truly supposed to ignite and show up in a way that's actually valuable for the both of you, that will happen.
Right.
Can you
The
actually
n
trust that?
trusting it.
And that's to me, I feel like that's the most challenging part when this all comes down to it, because I think a lot of people can identify what their gut is saying and then what the fears and anxiety is, but the action step of what to do, if you don't have a trust that you're gonna be okay, and that then you get really, like, screwed up in your head, man.
Yeah, back and forth. There's that back and forth. So when you can kind of release and relinquish and give it up
Yeah.
to the knowing and the trusting that the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in, has your back and has had your back up until this point, then it gets really back and forth up there.
Yeah. And I feel like we haven't really talked about the topic of, like, having faith or things like
Mm,
that too much on here. And the thing is, like, sure, everything can be made up, but it's like, okay, but if it, like, who cares if it's made up? If it actually helps you live a more easeful, calm, peaceful life, doesn't mean it's all rainbows and fucking butterflies and there aren't challenges. Like, of course there are,
yeah.
but um yeah, it's like this, like, just surrendering to, like, man, who knows how long we're here? Like, I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to
Mm,
grip. Like, I'm here to be open and, like, and have these experiences that enrich our souls and help us learn and connect with people. And, so many people just are lacking that space to be seen. It's like there's just a lot of fear. And I do not want to contribute to that fear, And
yeah.
so by gripping someone who is potentially not ready to engage with me or whoever, it's like, well, just let them be and live their life and let them go. Like, and if it's meant to, come back around. And if not, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Soften, open, love,
Yes.
like, as a
Yes.
fucking crunchy or whatever you wanna say, like, I
I
don't care. I'm like, "Dude,
know.
kumbaya, bitch."
Good job, bitch. Well, I think that's also like it all ties back into something else that I feel like we've been talking about lately, which goes along with this is like the integration of all of these things for that release. Because you mentioned, of course, there are challenges, of course, there are tests and things that we go through in life that are sad and that we have to grieve and we have to go through that we wouldn't necessarily choose for ourselves.
Mhm,
But if we can meet it with the acceptance and the integration of understanding that it is a part of you and you welcome it instead of, it's that opposite factor of like instead of the resistance of like, oh shit, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Why am I so anxious? Why? It's like welcome that shit in, have a little more space and openness to understand that it's a mechanism that we all have as humans and to let it flow and kind of have this um integration into your everyday life and that you're safe and that you talk to yourself through these things because I think at the end of the day you grow through it. It's the only way to kind of like I feel like find true happiness and not be so hard on yourself and really enjoy life and bring joy and creativity and just like the fun shit back
mhm.
into your life when we can sort of use these more challenging emotions to our advantage.
Yeah, like a catalyst. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, this October, yeah, October, will be 3 years alcohol-free, which is crazy. Who's counting? No one's counting.
I know.
But, seriously, like, because it's something I don't really think of often, but, we'll get into this another time, but I was at a bar for a friend's birthday this past weekend, and someone was like, "Can I get you a drink?" And then they stopped and like, "Wait, are you sober?" And I was like, I didn't know how to answer because I don't identify as sober.
Yeah.
People ask me the same shit about food stuff too. Are you vegan? Are you vegetarian? And I'm like, I'm just like,
I don't know.
I don't I'm like, I I haven't, like, had a like, it's like, "Okay, do I really open my notebook and be like, all right, so I haven't had a full glass of alcohol, but I have had a couple sips of my friend's cocktails, but
Right.
I haven't been intoxicated in 3 years." It's like, it means different things to different people, and so I was just like, no, I'm good," you know? And it wasn't
Yeah.
because I was nervous to say I don't drink, it was because I genuinely, like I was like, "I don't know."
Well, it's so insignificant now that it's like,
Exactly, I'm like
you don't even, like, think about it.
right.
So
I'm like, yeah." But my bigger point to that is that I just feel like it has like, I feel like I have felt all the emotions of my lifetime in these past 3 years in such an intense way and in different layers and different levels than I have in the past, and I just and I've learned so much, and I've cried a lot, I've laughed a lot, and I've pondered a lot, and I feel like my biggest, just like takeaway to someone who is interested in learning more about their inner world so that they can also accept others, even deeper and with more love and compassion is that just to not like it's okay to feel. Like just allow
yeah,
yourself to feel. And any moment that comes up where you start to like check out or feel afraid, ask yourself, why are you so afraid to feel? And
yeah,
let the energy and light move through you and connect you to others is kind of like my thing right now.
yeah. It's so much of a flow in a dance, and I can't put my finger on it. I like the word integration because I feel like it's something that you embody and that you continue to move through. It's not like you just do one thing, and then that's it. It's like a ripple effect. It's a continuation. It's a ongoing, lifelong.
Forever.
Yeah, and it's exciting because you begin to just unlock so many different levels that you may not even be aware of, different levels of your consciousness, of your feelings, of your capabilities.
Yeah.
I mean, it just opens up this entire chapter of what your possibilities are. And when we can begin to think more on that level of abundance and galactically, and it just opens up so much shit, like good shit, bad shit, and good shit. Like it's all so, it is such a journey, you know?
Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you wanna talk
Cool.
about what we have exciting coming up in October?
Yes. Sober
Sober,
October.
sober. Dude,
No
sorry.
spirits required.
Someone just told me I've never heard this before. Someone just told me the other day, they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're entering the Burr months." I was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "September, October, November, December." I was like, "I've literally never heard that. I live under a rock." Also don't come at me, I just learned that Vera Wang
Yeah.
is a person name.
Mara.
Dude, I did not know that it was
What?
I did not know it was a fucking name.
Like, what did you think it was before? Just a
Like
brand,
like
like,
a
just a
like a brand yeah, just like
like
where
Haagen-Dazs. It's
yes,
not like a person.
yes, and then Carlene, my friend, was like, "Dude, yeah, like Michael Kors, Ralph Lauren." I was like, "Okay, I understand that, but I didn't know." Like, and then I saw like a random picture of her at the US Open. I was like, "What?" I was
That's
like,
her?
I live under a fucking rock. But I was like,
It's
that is so
Vera.
fucking dope. I had no idea. That's so cool. I'm being enlightened. I now know who Vera Wang is. And we also have Sober October coming up. So like join us.
Like, life is good. Sober October and Vera Wang. Shit. Yeah, you should actually, have you read about her story?
No,
She, like, started her company when she was, like, in her 40s or something.
dude.
She started Vera Wang.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
see,
looks like
anything's
a
possible, y'all.
badass.
I know, she's fucking cool. I love Vera Wang. I'm so happy for you. Vera Wang. Yeah, so Sober October, we're super stoked. We'll have something up on our website in the coming week or so. And it is a challenge where, you can reduce alcohol, you can remove alcohol, whatever kind of your goal is for the month. But we'll have, what do we like, three calls where we'll have like almost this group coaching sessions with either both of us or one of us. We've got journal prompts, we've got different ways to track your goals. We've got so many different things like access to really good resources, like all the fucking things
A
in
dope
October.
prize packet.
Oh my God, you guys. I'm so excited about this because and that's something else about just this community in general. Everybody is so great and
Mm,
giving. And it's like we just want to spread the joy and the happiness through this lifestyle of choosing yourself. And so, yeah, I'm so stoked on this prize pack. It's going to be worth it's valued at something like $400. So
mhm.
we'll unveil kind of what's included in that. So if you join us for Sober October, you will be entered in, a random drawing at the end of it to see if you can win this prize. There's so many great things. And it's all stuff that we either have or have tried, a lot of non-alc beverages, merch, books, different things in there. So yeah, I'm really, really stoked on that.
Yes, amazing. Follow
Yeah.
us on Instagram at Nosedive Co.
At Nosedive Co. And then you can follow me at coach_Radams. And Mara, where can they
At
find you?
Mara DiMaro. Keep sending in your requests.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a good thing too. You can view us on YouTube as well if you just want to see our faces instead of just listening to us. But yeah, keep sending in your requests. We really love being able to bring you information that sparks joy and really is a catalyst for you guys and how we can help you navigate certain situations through this lifestyle. So keep sending it our way, info@nosediveco.com. And all of this is going to be in our show notes. So,
We'll see
all
you
right,
next
y'all.
time. Thanks for tuning
Till
in.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.